I do see I have a question. So I can pause and take that question. Can you demonstrate the stamp feature in PDFs? Can we add our own stamps? Can they become dynamic and add? Yeah, they can. So sure, I'm going to jump back in here and I can do that for you. So for the stamp feature that we've put in here, the one stamp is a signature. So this is the signatures which you can add. So you can add your own signature, and it's basically going to pull you through your internal documents, and you can add based on JPEGs or PNGs, and on images essentially. And once that is, you can also delete them if you have an extra signature that you don't need. But what that looks like is, now that I've added a signature here, let's say there's like a dotted line at the bottom here that they want me to sign. I can just click here and just resize my signature and put it right at the dotted line.
I just want to add here that you can also add stamps from the organization can add a stamp, which then can be added by the reviewers.
Yeah.
So you can have multiple stamps, let's say for different documents, you have different types of stamp. You can have multiple stamps for each organization, and then those can be added to any document.
Yeah. I hope that answers your question, but if not, feel free to follow up. I'm going to jump back in here now. And so actually, this is a good segue from what I was talking about for this John Doe comment. So that's one thing that's coming. Somebody who writes, as a text annotation instead of an annotation with text, we're actually making it such that this text annotation will become a task in here. So that way, again, if you want to just write directly, but you want to manage those, you're able to. But back into this task model. So yeah, we have a due date, completion date. You can do a gap analysis to see when things actually got completed versus when they're due. We have these other features. So the phase that they're in, we can duplicate this or copy the task into different projects in your organization if it's relevant to other projects. We have tags. So there's 7 tasks now, but maybe you have 100 tasks, and this is particular to one specific client, right? You could say, like, you could flag this as client 1. And so now when you are searching, you can search for tasks that are just related to client 1. And so it just makes it easier to batch certain tasks together. And lastly, down here, we have watchers. So what watchers are people in the organization that need to be notified when something changes here, but they're not responsible for the task. And generally this would be a project manager. So a project manager who, let's say, needs to know when this task status is going to, resolve fixed, or when it's getting QA verified, right? In those cases, maybe they're not responsible for doing the verification themselves, but they would want to know when it's done so they can move the project along, essentially, on their side. We have the ability as well to add descriptions and attachments. So if there's needs further context, you can do that directly in this ticket, as well as this nifty replies function allows us to mention people. So if in our organization, they don't have to be assigned to this ticket necessarily, but if I wanted to mention, let's say, one of my coworkers, and I said, please help out and provide context, I'm not going to hit add right now because otherwise it will actually trigger a notification for him. But if I hit add, it'll add it as a comment, and he'll get notified to come into this ticket and see what exactly is going on here. I'm going to get rid of that just to show you what exactly it does when you add a comment. So a reply. So just as a trailing long list of replies. But again, you can mention people as per necessary. And lastly, wow, we're running quite a lot longer than I thought. I'm going to show just phases for review cycles. So this would be, again, let's say like a beta testing phase. You could have an alpha testing phase. And again, these descriptions, status, completion date, all up to your discretion, but the name is absolutely required. And then you can have like a final. And this is generally what we see with some of our e-learning partners. And essentially that just means that you can have your uploads either move along through this cycle if that means that within each phase someone different reviews it, or you can have a duplicate upload in this phase, because then you would have, the beta version and then the alpha version and the final version, and you can cross compare across all three essentially.